Do you know the main causes of the growing risk of flooding in the United States? The answer is climate change. Numerous concerning trends are being witnessed as the global temperatures rises. First, with more moisture in the atmosphere as a result of the higher evaporation rates, storms will produce heavier rainfall. Second, given the changing climate, glaciers and fast-melting ice caps, sea levels are rising, and thus the chance of flooding events is increased by this mix of elements both inland and along coastal regions. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into an important and pressing subject that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating material, leave a comment, and press the like button. Let's turn back in time and relive the terrifying tales of the U.S. most significant floods when Mother Nature ran wild. Threatening snowfall in the Wyoming and Montana Rocky Mountains and almost record-breaking spring rains combined to cause the 2011 Missouri River flood and what left a trail of devastation. All 6 of the Missouri River's dams released record-breaking volumes of water in an attempt to prevent an overflow, thus endangering several towns and cities from Montana to Missouri, including many smaller towns. The National Weather Service estimated the second half of 2011 to have witnessed an amount of rainfall equivalent to that of a full year at the upper Missouri River Basin. Having such volume of water, coupled with a spike in the levels of snowfall by 212% at the Rocky Mountains, yielded this flooding catastrophe. Flash floods, thunderstorms, and an unceasing downpour of biblical proportions pounded the U.S. Midwest in 2013. The Midwest became a soggy battlefield that claimed lives and left destruction in its wake. Wet air rushed ahead of a strong cold front and low-pressure system, causing many rivers to rise, rising levels up to 8 inches in some places. Flood advisories were issued throughout Michigan, northern Arkansas, and Tennessee. On April 22, 2013, more than 200 river gauges in the upper Midwest were at flood stage, with 43 of them at major flood stage. The floods claimed 5 lives. In its 141-year history, Iowa has never seen a wetted spring, with 16.4 inches of rain by May 29th. The University of Iowa started building HESCO bastions around low-lying campus buildings that same day, anticipating flooding in the Iowa River. On May 30th, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers raised the outflow from Kerrville Reservoir to 14,000 cubic feet per second. This prompted Iowa City to issue a civil emergency declaration and shut down low-lying areas of North Dubuque Street, a crucial commuter route. On June 1st, the reservoir control gates were fully opened, resulting in a whopping 18,000 cubic feet per second outflow from Kerrville Reservoir, enough to flood between 50 to 60 structures. The Cedar River in Iowa recorded on June 2nd its 10th highest level ever, briefly closing the Edgewood Road Bridge. Following a reduction in Kerrville Reservoir water levels on June 13th, the Corps of Engineers limited discharge to 14,000 cubic feet per second, and Iowa City reopened the North Dubuque Street on Sunday, June 6. This time, it was nationwide. A relentless wave of floods in August and July of 2022 broke all previous records. The deluge created a path of death and ruin from Missouri to Kentucky, serving as a clear reminder of the fury of nature. For a week beginning on July 24th, 2022, there were flash floods over the U.S. This included parts of West Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, Greater St. Louis, and the Las Vegas Valley in Missouri and Illinois. On July 24th, Missouri saw multiple rounds of strong thunderstorms. The next day, St. Louis recorded the highest rainfall in a 24-hour period since 1915. Governor Mike Parson issued an emergency proclamation on July 26. 2 people lost their lives, and over 100 people were saved from floodwaters. Further devastating floods followed in Kentucky and other parts of central Appalachia late on July 27th and early on July 28th, leading to 40 casualties. On July 28th, Las Vegas had yet another record-breaking flash flood following nearly an inch of rain. Aircraft delays and cancellations were brought on by the flooding of parking garages, casinos, and Las Vegas Strip roadways. More flooding occurred in Phoenix Flagship, Death Valley National Park, and eastern Kentucky between July 30th and August 1st. Such flooding resulted in 41 casualties, 2 in Missouri and 39 in Kentucky. The California floods, which started on December 2022, were disastrous. Unrelenting rainfall caused by atmospheric rivers flooded the Golden State and left a terrifying trail of devastation in its wake. Between December 31st, 2022 and March 25th, 2023, numerous atmospheric rivers in California produced extremely heavy rainfall, which resulted in flooding in Southern California, the California Central Coast, Northern California, and Nevada. Flooding caused property damage and claimed 22 lives. Storms in December and January caused 200,000 homes and businesses to lose electricity, resulting in the evacuation of 6,000 individuals. The floods were reported in the media as an example of how extreme weather, particularly cycles of precipitation and drought, is being brought on by climate change. Although similar phenomena has occurred in California almost every decade since the 19th century, Los Angeles Times scientists said more investigation is necessary to establish a connection. According to some researchers, floods are a direct result of ocean warming and are associated with climate change. Scientist Kevin Trenberth says that these prodigious rainfalls that have occurred in so many places around the world recently are producing the interaction between the warming ocean and the overlaying atmosphere. Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency on January 4th, 2023 in response to the storms. On January 9th, 2023, President Joe Biden declared a state of emergency in 7 counties in California. That same day, 2 congressmen urged President Biden to issue a state of emergency proclamation for the counties of Santa Barbara and St. Louis Obispo. Biden issued a major disaster declaration for the counties of Merced, Sacramento, and Santa Cruz on January 4th. The counties of Monterey, St. Louis Obispo, and Santa Barbara joined the declaration a few days later. Please press the bell icon below to subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Analyzing past flooding data identifies significant trends and patterns. In many parts of the United States, an increase in the frequency and intensity of floods during the past century is clearly visible. Comprehending these past patterns aids in forecasting next susceptibilities and executing enhanced flood danger mitigation tactics. When grouping susceptibilities by area, the following major groups are observed. Coastal areas are particularly vulnerable to the threat of flooding, notably those along the eastern seaboard and Gulf Coast. Rising sea levels and more intense hurricanes and tropical storms as a result of climate change present a double whammy for these regions. These storm surges have the potential to severely destroy coastal settlements by submerging them. Because of the rising sea temperatures, coastal areas are increasingly vulnerable to hurricanes and tropical storms. These storms can bring with them destructive storm surges, high winds, and deluges of rain when they reach landfall. Storm surges and intense rains frequently cause catastrophic flooding, which is extremely dangerous for people and property. Inland areas, such as the basins of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, have unique problems related to water. Chaos is unleashed by a combination of heavy rains, snowmelt, and overflowing rivers. Even if levees are strong, occasionally they give way to the unrelenting assault. Ravine flooding is common in these areas because of a number of variables, such as high rainfall, snowmelt, and upstream runoff. When rivers overflow their banks due to heavy rain, nearby villages and agricultural areas may be submerged. Levee systems are used in many river basin regions as a flood protection measure. Extreme events, however, have the potential to overwhelm these systems. Significant flooding incidents can result from levee failures, as seen by a few well-known examples in the past. Urban areas with high population density contain some of the biggest vulnerabilities. Urban areas such as New York, Miami, and New Orleans are facing numerous challenges related to flooding concerns. Urban regions are frequently home to vital infrastructure and are densely populated. During floods, the likelihood of significant damage is increased due to the concentration of people and assets. Flooding incidents can have a serious effect on infrastructure, including sewage systems, electrical grids, and underground systems. Climate change is causing an intensification of water cycles. In some places, the result is an increase in rainfall, flooding, and drought. As the IPCC has proven, scientists have recently witnessed and predicted it. Before the rains, there was a terrible drought in California. High tidal floods on the east and west coast may occur more frequently as a result of the El Niño that is expected to intensify this year. Communities along the mid-Atlantic and Gulf coasts may be most affected by high tide floods. Since El Niño conditions will worsen the effects of sea levels in some areas, the mid-Atlantic is expected to see 9 to 15 days of extreme weather conditions, 350% more than the records of the year 2000. The Western Gulf is expected to be closed for 7 to 14 days, a nearly 350% increase since the year 2000. In the Pacific Northwest, 4 to 11 days of high tide flood are predicted, representing about a 150% increase over the year 2000. In the Pacific Southwest, 1 to 5 days are predicted, representing almost a 100% increase over the year 2000. By 2050, high tide floods are expected to affect the nation for 45 to 85 days on average annually. Long-term projections are based on the ranges of expected relative sea level increases in the United States by 2050, or around 1 foot on average. So you better get ready, viewers, for climate change is headed in a very bad direction. However, as knowledge is power, it is up to us to turn the tide. Together, if we can remain aware and more prepared, we can weather this storm. Remember to click the bell symbol, share this information with your friends and family, and subscribe for more interesting videos. We appreciate you coming along on this exciting and enlightening trip into the world of American floods.